feet hurting, world full of busy bees working. I ain't never met a free person. I don't get along with these earthlings. I'm trying to seek purpose, fight for something I believe's worth it. Feel the curse, I'ma reverse it. I don't dream cause I sleep nervous. Yet I keep flirting, face death like a Steve Irwin. Whole heat, I'ma drink thermos. Tell the bartender keep serving. I'm trying to be perfect, using dirty shit to clean dirt with. Only happy when the weed burning. Traded oxygen to breathe herping. Till I see curtains, lungs fail and they cease working. Air is something that I need urgent. Suffocating, trying to squeeze words in. What would I do with my last breath? Would I yell? Would I cry? Would I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Even bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a glass chest that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath, walking the last step. I'm on the last test, final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. Mad bless, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down on my last cent. Cash spent from a check I don't even have yet from my last rent. Swear this shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt, never got to hear his last breath.
Listen.
Reason I ain't passed yet. I'm the first ever and the last left. I let the
Record show. I let the weapons blow. Put on the weapon show. Pull up the Texaco. Narcos in Mexico.
Call up the technical.
Wait.
They know the text blow. Shut the Plexico. Bring me the vegetable.
Come on. Who seen what happened in Mexico this week with the narcos in Mexico with El Chapo's son? Talk black to me.
Put up the weapon show. Pull up the Texaco. Narcos in Mexico. Call up the technical.
They grabbed El Chapo's son. They called up the technical. They know the text will blow. Nigga, if you ain't holding it down like that, you're not on code.
They know the text will blow. Shut down Plexico. Turn you to vegetable. Body electrical. Acid and alkaline. Body so flexible. The shooters feast like a Uber Eats. Got a group of these scooter bees. By letting the Uzi Aruga speak. An American got up in Cuba eats. The powers they seek and powers the weak. They follow and creeps. Powers that be. Inherit the world from cowards and sheep. Went to the mountaintop towers and peaks. Flowers and sweets that showered our feet. The lightning and thunder that showered the sleep. Showered the D's. This not a verse, this our receipts. What would I do with my last breath? Would I yell? Would I cry? Would I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Even bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a glass chest that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath, walking the last step. I'm on the last test, final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. Mad bless, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down on my last cent. Cash spent from a check I don't even have yet from my last rent. Swear this shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt, never got to hear his last breath. And the only reason I ain't passed yet, I'm the first ever and the last left. Like a track fish, I attract women, they the bad women. I'ma splash in them, leave a bag with them. Then I raise seeds to be mad different. If I die now, I'm coming back in them. Cause they dad missing, but they cash dripping. Cause they royalty, so they brag different. Ain't no ass kissing, never had feelings. Seen a white victim in a black witness. Mac ripping on my last mission. Yak sipping, blowing blackism. Gat missing, he was lack slipping. Smack hit him, now we act different. Apparition, the bad vision. The Mac a chip him and crash the system. Uncle Tom, cause you that willing. Fuck the law, I'm going back to living. Astral prisms of black religions. Activisms of conversations. Sacrilegious, the palms of Satan. Black magicians, Babylon are racing. Raise our hands to the God we praising. Hustling, the marathon we racing. Nipsey at the finish line, he waiting. What would I do with my last breath? Would I yell? Would I cry? Would I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Even bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a glass chest that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath, walking the last step. I'm on the last test, final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. Mad bless, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down on my last cent. Cash spent from a check. don't even have yet from my last rent. Sweater shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt. Never got to hear his last breath. And the only reason I ain't passed yet, I'm the first ever and the last left.
We need that video ASAP. That's a banger right there. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there that you just heard is Last Breath off of the critically acclaimed album Holy Ghost Part 2 by my good brother, Father Rich. Give me something to drink. AKA Brother Rich, Black Magic, and Cambada. Alright? And that song right there is featuring Red Pill and Blue Pill and my good brother Cambada, called Last Breath. You can find that on the streaming services. Alright? Let's do this roll call before we begin. You dig? Salute to everybody in the building tonight. West Phoenix is in the building. Newark, New Jersey. The Bricks is in the building. Atlanta is in the building. Miami, Florida. North Kakalaka. 401, South Carolina. Be More, 1111. Yeah. North Carolina's in the building. Memphis is in the building. Philly's in the building. Miami's in the building. 407, Orlando is in the building. Seatown is in the building. Kentucky's in the building. Watts is in the building. Portsmouth, Virginia, 757 is in the building. Augusta's in the building. Hyattsville is in the building. Orlando, Richmond, VA. Brooklyn, 718 is in the building. The BX is in the building. Central Cali's in the building. Hinesville is in the building. Cleveland, Saturn, Oakland is in the building. 613, Ottawa. Medford, Oregon. 812, Cache Ave, Delaware. Yeah, Fernandina Beach. East New York is in the building. 914, the Third Coast is in the building. Jamaica, Queens, salute. Sirius is in the building. Harlem is in the building. New Orleans is in the building. Texas, Central Cali, Sacktown, SC, Vegas, VA is in the building. Looks like I swallowed something. Minnesota's in the building. Upstate New York is in the building. Phoenix is in the building. SC is in the building. Yes, ATL. Shout out to ATL. KTL and the ATL. Shout out to all of the family in the building. Toledo, Ohio. Oh, salute to Toledo. I met some good people from Toledo. Nibiru's in the building. Okay, Eastern North Carolina. Salute. Louisville. We had a great time out there at the Ali Center in Louisville. Salute to Louisville. Frisco, Texas. Miramar. I've been to Miramar. I've been to Mars. Shout out to Dr. Manhattan on Mars. Queen City. I can't wait to come through. Iowa. Missouri in the building. ATL in the building. Bay Area, you dig? Pluto. Live from Pluto. Agua. 845. Nashville in the building. Delaware in the building. What's up, Cleveland? Jersey City. What's good with you, Barbados in the building? Pittsburgh. What it do? Detroit. What up, though? Brownsville. Richmond. St. Louis. Fresno. Somebody sent their coordinates. Austin, Texas. All right, serious. Bones of a Mexican, St. Louis. Salute to you. DC in the building. Shout out to the DMV. Nat Town. Yikes. Let me pull that out. Houston in the building. Birmingham. Brazil in the building. Salute to Brazil. I look forward to seeing y'all in 2020 in Brazil, Bahia, and all over Brazil. Mississippi in the building. Salute to y'all. Oakland in the building. Well, it's safe to say, tomorrow is your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Our birthday is on Thursday. Everyone that's inside of this Scorpion cluster, salute to all of y'all. There's a lot of people inside of this Scorpion cluster of the last 2 weeks and whatnot who share a birthday, who I'm very close to, and who are some awesome Scorpions, you know what I mean? I'm surrounded by Scorpions in my cipher, you know? I have a lot of Scorpions in my cipher, you know what I'm talking about? Mine like A.A. Rashid, his brother Ashraf, KT the Arch Degree, Blue Pill, my son Amir, and a whole host of other people, a whole host of other Scorpios who are, you know, in the network. Yes, and tonight we have the pleasure of having this Melanin Monday on 11/11, okay? Episode 85 on 11/11, November 11th, 2019, the last November of the 2000s before we go into the 20s, you know, the last November of, you know, this cycle, because in 2020 that'll be the ending and the beginning of a new cycle. So it's just a wonderful time to reflect. Scorpio is in retrograde, so we're going to talk about that tonight too. Some of the things to look out for, some of the things to pay attention that's going on in our timelines, in the media, and around us, and we can understand fully the effects of a retrograde for people who want to go to, you know, study what that actually is and what it does. You dig? And of course, we're going to conversate about the plans that we have for our 44th born day. We have a change of plans, as a matter of fact. Due to the fires that are taking place in California, we've actually had to postpone our Mount Shasta retreat, 11/14, our 44th birthday retreat out there. We have to postpone that. They got smoke inhalation all over them places, so we can't even do that right now. That's, in my humble opinion, that's the ancestors saying, nah, my nigga, y'all gotta stay in New York and make this shit legendary. So we're in the process of making something legendary happen in a very short amount of time. But guess what? We're Scorpios, and it's the retrograde, and it's a new moon tomorrow, and it's the 11/11 portal right now. So anything that we want to bring into fruition, we can do it easily with 298 brothers and sisters, 298 God bodies in the building, light sentient beings, spiritual beings, entities, reincarnated scar faces. You know what I'm talking about? You know, and we're gonna tap into the portal tonight. We're gonna make some things happen. We're gonna make some things manifest. We're gonna take advantage of a powerful day, and we're gonna make it do what it do. All right. Peace, peace, peace to everyone. Yeah. I hope all of y'all had a fun weekend. You know, a productive weekend where you put in some work. You know what I mean? Did some things, made some things happen. You know, because we had a wonderful weekend ourselves. We were in New York. We had the pleasure of being at King Simon's event at St. Francis College in Brooklyn yesterday, where KT, the arts degree, was teaching along with his queen, along with a few other dynamic speakers and intellects who are, you know, presenting yesterday at the event. I believe King Simon was live streaming it. I highly suggest that the family go ahead and tap into that content, because, you know, it's a lot of powerful content that is out there. Everything doesn't come through the channels of YouTube. So some things are on demand, some things are on live stream, and, you know, some things are off of that network, because if it hasn't been, you know, if the writing hasn't necessarily been on the wall for you to read, well, I'm here to let you know that the year 2019 would probably go down as the year where the censorship really began to step up to a place of them being on offense, a heavy offense, a triangle offense. You know, they're knocking people down on multiple fronts. They're knocking people down off of the Instagram, off of YouTube, and off of Facebook. You dig? So a lot of the information, especially the high frequency information or the controversial information for that matter, which would be anything that's dealing with race topics, because that is a flag. You know, that's an automatic flag. That's censorship. That's all kind of heat. So, you know, shit that's really you know, that uncut, that 9, that doogie that they talk about on Godfather Harlem, that doogie, nigga, you don't talk about when you come in with the information that's that doogie. Yeah, you got to go underground with that right now. That's a fact. I was on YouTube the other day doing some research, and my mind was blown away on how information has been curated at the end of the day. They scrubbed YouTube of the plethora of information, and I'm not talking about black information or conscious information, because to be honest with you, conscious people did that. They erased their own material. They got themselves flagged, and they lit themselves on fire. You know what I'm talking about? It was self-immolation with a lot of people. They sunk their own ships. You know what I mean? Let's not blame white people for what we all know happened. These niggas jumped on ego grenades, and they still doing it to this day. You understand? Fame killed these niggas. You know what I'm talking about? You know, remember the little gay nigga Leroy from Fame? Yeah, he's out here killing niggas. He's with Omar from The Wire. And they're sliding on these niggas and bodying them. Yeah, Fame is killing these niggas. You know what I'm talking about? What do they call it? The sniff? Talk black to me. Leroy is killing these niggas. So, you know, the infiltration is, you know, the shit is rampant. We're going to talk about some things tonight. We're going to get into something called Psy War. This is the 1111 portal. I got to send some shit out into the universe. You know what I'm talking about? You know, they need some frequencies, because you know, I got an audience that you can't necessarily track their metrics on the counters. You know, I got an audience that's listening to this information. You know, they don't show up on the YouTube watch list. They don't show up on the YouTube counter meter. You know, we're gonna get this information out. So there's something called white propaganda And there's something called black propaganda. Okay? Now, I don't know if y'all know what psychological warfare is. I don't know if you understand what that is and what the purpose of it is, but we're going to walk through it tonight. All right? We're going to walk through it tonight. I'm going to let a few more people get into the building before we get into the lesson tonight, but we're going to touch on that. But make sure y'all go to Black Magic 363 and watch the last episode that my brother Blue Pill did. He spoke about the Godfather of Harlem with Bumpy Johnson and his relationship with the NOI, right? And check out what he had to say in that video. And when this show is over tonight, go over there as well, because Dame Dash and Billy Carson is going to be over there around 10 o'clock. I should be finished with the family about that time. So, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. This is the triangle offense. These are multinational trillion-dollar companies, each one of them in a sense, because Facebook owns Instagram and YouTube is Google. All of these are trillion-dollar entities, but these are not trillion-dollar entities that are necessarily standing on their own. These are trillion-dollar entities that are considered to be a part of intelligence, because intelligence consists of, and I'm going to read it so I don't have to, so it's not me saying it, this is actual research. This is what intelligence is, okay? The U.S. intelligence the U.S. intelligence agencies, all right, is comprised of multiple different things, okay? It's not just James Bonds in them. You know what I'm saying? The U.S. intelligence community. Now, Facebook and Google, they belong to the U.S. intelligence community. And that's comprised of intel services. So intelligence services. Facebook is an intel service. Twitter, and Google is an intel service. That's a fact. Universities, okay? The Facebook started in a university, but universities are part of what is known as the intelligence community, okay? So you know, universities like MIT, UCLA, where all of these experiments began to take place, where counter-revolutionary cultures were hatched and whatnot, where psychedelics and things of that nature were tried out and then, you know, filtered into the culture, where ideas and concepts, Berkeley, where ideas and concepts, Oxford, where ideas and concepts, Harvard, where ideas and concepts, Skull and Bones, Yale, Monroe Institute, right? Where ideas and concepts and narratives are formed, enforced, they're enriched, they're bankrolled, and they're implanted in the minds of the generations who were given to them or sent to them, right? With minds that were impressionable and programmable, okay, and fertile, and then released into society, right? And released into society, and now they have what is known as double consciousness, especially if they're melanated. They're dealing with two minds or two personalities. There's a split. There's been an alter ego. There's somewhat of a shattering that's taken place. So now you are at odds with another voice in your head that's working against your natural right, or your natural, who you are naturally. You know what I'm saying? Your sovereign self. There's an invader. There's another person on your shoulder. You know what I mean? And that's double consciousness. Du Bois talked about it. Double consciousness. you know, serving two masters, having, being bilingual in the presence of Caucasians, switching up. Code switching is what the there's people who are masquerading as LBGT. They're not even gay, bro. They're cosplaying. It's called code switching, meaning that when white people come around, they are heterosexual men and women who begin to act gay when they come around, or they act timid and very docile, and it's called code switching. Look it up, right? So it's look that up. You know, there's all kind of survival techniques that black folk have developed in the wilderness of Amexem. Remember, even according to the Europeans who have programmed the majority of the world and our people, even their highest scholars, like Freud, you know what I'm talking about? Like Nietzsche, what did they say? They said that the basic survival of man, or the basic survival of human, is twofold. It's sex and it's survival. Those are the two driving instincts and forces in mankind, humanity, or whatever you want to name it. It's sex and survival. David East, shout out to Dave East. He had the Survival album. You know, it's okay. It's all right. Sex and survival. Our primal instincts is to be fruitful and multiply. And then our survival, food, clothing, and shelter. Food for survival, clothing for survival, shelter for survival. Our primal, basic instincts. Yes, a Popeye chicken sandwich is niggas in survival mode. They got to get that's part of the food. They feel that they got to eat that. You know what I'm talking about? That's their new spinach. You know, that's their new spinach. But the way that the brain is wired, if you grew up on Popeye with the spinach and he had you really psyching yourself out that when your ass ate some spinach, you was really out here knocking on Kimbo Slice's door. You know what I'm talking about? You was beefing up because it was all in your mind. So maybe these niggas eating that crunchy chicken sandwich is doing something for them. Who knows? I'll never know. Unless I'm coerced. You know what I'm talking about? Unless I'm coerced. So we have to come to terms, right, with the simple fact that this community and this, you know, whatever you want to identify this thing as, this movement or this wave or this pattern or this, you know, whatever you want to call it, this energy or this force, because everything is, you know, everything is, energy is transferable, right? So everything that you're doing can be broken down to a force, to the type of kinetic force that it lets out. So the movement that we're a part of, this thing has a lot of force. You know, this thing has a lot of force, and there's a lot of people who are recognizing that, like the New York Times, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let me finish about the survival and the sex thing. Okay? So the survival, something that it's the instinct that melanated people, black people, especially people who are in the trenches or the third world or the favelas or the hoods or the squalors in the slums or wherever it is that they're at, where their environment is very hostile, and it was almost akin to being in a rainforest or a jungle, because you got predators. But the only thing is, these predators may even have more of a killer instinct and a kill intelligence than a goddamn jaguar or a lion. You know, because man is the illest predator on the planet. That's why he's the one grabbing his nuts, standing on top. He think, what, niggas lose sleep over the fact that there's lions out here procreating? You think so? Niggas is dropping nuclear bombs. There's no eagles out there that can do that. So man is the that's why man is on top of the food chain. He has the power to eat anything and to conquer and to subdue any animal in the kingdom. Just the same thing that wasn't he told that he would have that, right? Wasn't he promised that by God? God. So sex and survival are primal instincts of every man, not just black people, not just white people, everybody. That's what it starts with. So, as a people, especially a nation of people who have some level of dysfunction that we're able to identify, but could be easily remedied in a short amount of time, this has been proven, easily remedied. But I feel that the approach collectively could be taken to that primal instinct to address that first, sex and survival. Are we in survival mode? Hmm? And if we are in survival mode, then how could we get into strivers mode? How could you get on strivers road out of survival mode? Because you're not supposed to be running around trying to survive your whole life. You know, that's not healthy on the mind, even though it's like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how I keep from going under all of that fly shit. You know, you want to feel like, uh, uh, you have some people who embrace the risk of, you know, what life has to offer, and they're daredevils. You feel me? There's people out there who, that's what they into. They want to take risks. And I get it. But give me 1 minute, y'all. Yeah, my phone is acting up. But I don't know. We'll see. Hold on. Yeah. So shout out to everybody in the building. You know what I'm talking about? Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the this episode of Melanin Monday, 11/11. All right, we're gonna get a little bit into the meaning of 11/11. We're gonna get a little bit into the meaning of the Scorpion 11/11. What the significance of this day is. I hope that everybody unconsciously and consciously did something today to tap into the portal, the 11/11 portal, the renewal of energy, you know, basically the gratitude of being where you at on the way, coasting into 2020. This is the victory lap. You know what I'm talking about? This is the victory lap. This is the ending of a decade. You know, you're coasting into 2020, a time that was prophesized to be a time unlike any other time that you've seen before. And shit, let's be honest, collectively through the 2000s, we've seen some shit. So imagine what we're about to encounter. And I feel like everybody's been in the classroom preparing for this diligently, doing the necessary work, you know, learning what needed to be learned, both externally and internally, you know, because it's not just, it's a balance. It ain't just one way. It's not just, oh, I'm on my external search for a higher power, or I'm on my external search for God, and I'm not looking inside at all. And the other way around. You know what I'm talking about? It ain't like, oh, I'm just working on me, so I don't got time to be reading the newspaper or following what's going on out. No. Practice a level of abundance, like Keys says, you know, not just balance, practice abundance. 2020, the awareness is clearer. You damn real. You damn right. The awareness is clearer. Clairvoyance. Yeah. You know. But along with us knowing that, there are other people who know that, and these people are stepping up their attempts to censor. They're stepping up their attempts to silence. They're stepping up their attempts to, in a way, you know, aggravate, or they're almost trying to bully people into conforming. There it goes. They're trying to push people into conformity, because think about it. If they're demonetizing everyone's pages for speaking about the truth, or speaking about the agenda, or exposing information that they deem to be, you know, secret, right? And they're shutting people down, and they're saying to people, they're subtly saying in suggestibility ways that if you want to get money with us, if you want to eat with us, if you still want us to feed you, you got to play by our rules, right? So now it's compromising the level of information people are even willing to give to the people. It's affecting the level of information people are sharing with the family, because they're editing their information, they're censoring, they're pouring water on it, you know. But looking at the glass half full, half empty, what does that do for the real alchemist? What does that do? A real alchemist will take something such as a censorship, or a banning of a certain kind of delivery, or a certain kind of quality, or a certain kind of just a look, because these algorithms are trained to see things the way that they are. So what we're gonna see out of this is that there's definitely gonna be some creatives that are gonna create something that's going to, it's gonna scale. It's definitely gonna rise above what's previously been out there, because they're gonna make people sharpen up and deliver the information in ways that hasn't been delivered before, you know. But in the same breath, it's also opening up the opportunity for newer platforms, newer technology. Everyone is familiar with having an app on their phone that's push button, that is a cache of content, unlimited content. So now that you're familiar with that red button that's YouTube, you could replace that same thing with any button that you could press that has the same type of user face, that could take you through the same seamless process of streaming a video, where it's not buffering, it's clear, it has options of 1080, 720, DPI, and other things of that nature. You know, we already mentally we already have the YouTube model embossed in our collective minds. So it's time to duplicate that. Where are the app developers? Where are the coders? I've been calling out to y'all. So today on the 1111 gateway, I'm going to manifest y'all. I'm going to affirm. I'm going to say the universe is conspiring for our success. The universe is conspiring for the elevation of Notaledge Media. The universe is conspiring for all of the projects that we are working on to be worked on with a collaborative team of professionals and experts and young creatives and visionaries and Afrofuturists and visionaries of the future who are going to come and step in and turn this arts and science project into one of the biggest projects that the universe has ever seen. Ashe, you know what I mean? And so mote it, and it will be. That's how you do it. You know, and there's definitely other ways to affirm, but I'm definitely affirming that, you know, that's available. I live in abundance. I'm surrounded by, a network of trillionaires. I'm a trillionaire. I got trillions of ions in the air. My network is my net worth. And I know billionaires, and I know a whole bunch of I know a whole bunch of billionaires, so that adds up to trillionaires. You know what I'm talking about? And I know a few trillionaires. So, you know, this is this time is definitely a wonderful time to be alive, like the fellow Scorpions Drake and Future once said. You know, it's a wonderful time. You know, the technology is available for us to do things that we've never done before. Technology is available for us to heal. The technology is available for us to build. The technology is available for us to destroy. The technology is available. The technology is available for us to build another pyramid with a 4D printer if we wanted to. To be honest with you, you 3D print out the bricks and then you stack them. You know what I'm talking about? You could do it in perfect math. This could be done. This could be done. You know what I'm saying? You could build a pyramid out of copper or something. Be innovative. Like, this is time for innovation. So you're going to see innovation in ways that you've never seen before. This 2020 thing is going to open up a flood of creativity. It's going to open up a flood of, progressiveness in the fields of visionary and Afrofuturism, and just people who are basically, they're going to show, they're just going to show a level of enthusiasm for the unknown, for the future. Because remember, before 2020, that's all we had to look forward to. Yo, 2020, my niggas. Wait till 2020. It's gonna be lit. Niggas gonna be flying, son. I'm just trying to make it to 2020. You know what I'm talking about? You know, they had the boys in the hood, doughboy scene, niggas on the porch. Either they don't know, or they don't care, or they don't understand. I'm trying to get to 2020, man. Like, 2020 was the goals. So now that we're here and we realize the opportunity for us to be everything that we know that we are supposed to be, sovereigns in our own right, owners of our estates, masters of our own destiny, and controllers of our own fates. That's just one aspect. Like, that's just the basics. You know, the return of our inalienable rights, the recognizing of our nation as a nation. Like, these are goals. These are goals. Like I said, the conversation is it's like an asteroid coming into our atmosphere. Is beginning to introduce itself, and you can hear the rumbling, because the rumbling is the fact that we are going to have to meet one day and all sit at a table and come to a solution about the nation that we want to create and build and form and have been building with our bare hands for mad years. You know how many people been putting bricks up for this new pyramid that we building? Every book that one of the elders wrote is a brick. Every lecture that Phil Valentine did is a brick. Every volume of Hidden Colors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is a brick. Every Sinetta TV upload, that's a brick. Every single Melanin Monday, bro, that's a brick. We all building these bricks. We laying these bricks. Every time the shifters form and roll out and speak, that's a brick. Every time 19 Keys, Billionaire PA, Derek Grace, Rizza Islam, Brother Ben X, upload Pop Darby, Ajna, every time somebody uploads Red and Blue, every time somebody uploads a video to the cloud on any one of these platforms, we're laying a brick. All right? We're rebuilding not just one pyramid, we're rebuilding and we're restructuring and we're reconstructing many of our palaces. It's not just the pyramids that we built. We built palaces all up and down Spain. Okay? We built cathedrals and all kind of stuff. We're the master masons when it comes to architecture. We practiced what was known as sacred geometry. We mastered the golden mean, Fibonacci sequence. We knew about fractals all the way back then. You understand? That way we would, and you could see it. It doesn't have to be said. It's breathing. It's in the architecture. Yeah, look at Dubai. That's a new Moorish kingdom. Whoever built Dubai had to have the blood or the DNA of whoever was over there in Alhambra and other places like Cordoba in Spain, building those castles and those palaces. Right? Whoever pulled up in Dubai, you know what I'm talking about? They the descendants. You know what I mean? They the descendants of, some people that was already building. The same way that in my mind that I know whoever was in Spain in those places building those castles, they had to have pyramid builders' blood. Whoever built the Church of Lalibela, whoever was carving those churches inside of the mountain, that's a creative flow right there. That's a creative blood. That's DNA. So when you tap into your flow state as an African, as an Ethiopian, that's the shit that you wake up. The flow state is a magical state. 11:11. Today is the portal. I hope that you tapped in. I had a brother. There was some brothers who had a 5 MEO DMT festival in Jersey, a Bufu Alaveris ceremony. Bufu Alaveris, the frog, my nigga, the toad. Tapping into that portal today. So let me read to y'all. First of all, Mercury retrograde, what that is. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio will happen from Halloween, October 31st to November 20th, 2019. On the same day, the planet of communication will begin its direct phase in Scorpio. This celestial body fulfilled a similar journey under the influence of Scorpio from December 1st to 6th, 2018. In a general sense, we can say that with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, the focus is on manipulation and distrust within personal relationships, the study of the occult sciences, personal secrets, and traumas associated with sexuality. Likewise, this transit shows concern for episodes of emotional intensity So it is suggested, likewise, this transit shows concern for episodes of emotional intensity. So it is suggested to avoid, as far as possible, introspection without purpose, insidiousness, obsessions, and discussions over jealousy or possessiveness. Okay, so that's the retrograde. Okay, which we are in right now. So the 1111, I'll give you some information on the 1111, so we could all be on the same code. Okay. So if you tapped into the sunrise this morning, I'm sure you've seen a very powerful sun. Um, there's a video, it looks beautiful. All right. So this is the energy of 1111. In numerology, the number 11 is a master number. Master meaning it is of intense high vibrational frequency. The number 11 is etherical, magical, and transcendental. In fact, the number 11 is a big deal as it potentiates our propensity for learning and growth and sets the scene for major life transformations. So many glorious words uphold the 11 vibration in numerology, such as light, energy, wisdom, purpose, healing, Jesus, Om, and of course Shambhala, as discussed in the book by Sheila Dreaming. Then when you put two 11s together, such as 1111, 11th day, 11th month, the vibrational potency of the number 11 becomes greater than the sum of the individual parts. In fact, 1111 becomes an awakener, an activator, a juicy DNA accelerator of consciousness. The word angels vibrates at the number 22. To me, this always reminds me of 1111, that we are always surrounded by love with an angel either side of us. The number 1111 is a symbolic code that stirs within us a deep cellular memory, a most sacred and divine awakening to the innate power of our soul. When we see 1111, our heart opens to the eternal nature of spirit, and we are compelled to awaken to our deepest truths and the highest vision of our soul purpose here on earth. Thursday, on the 11th November every year, thus, on the 11th November every year, we have an opportunity as a global humanity to work with the highest potential of this sacred memory key of 1111 and expand our individual and collective hearts into an awakened and most delicious state of conscious evolution. On a side note, the number 11 is made of two ones, which holds a template of initiations and new beginnings. Okay. How to make the most of 1111. Mercury transiting the sun is going to take you in deep, partly thanks to Scorpio, but also because Mercury is retrograde. And the 1111 vibration will not only heighten your experience, but will profoundly uplift your awareness of realms beyond that of your ego mind. In fact, you will find yourself in direct communication with the higher mind, the spirit of earth, the divine. Take time and listen. Make space to hear what the earth is trying to communicate with you, what spirit is longing for you to hear. Become mindful of your dreams, synchronicity, your thoughts, messages from the world around you. Everything is communicating with you, but it is up to you to create both the time and space to listen. Okay? Let all of these communications be felt deeply within your heart through the layers of the skin, down deep within your bones. This is it. These are the messages that will guide you into the next decade starting 2020. It's up to you to take note, listen, and surrender to their truths. All right? So that's that 1111 energy that I'm talking about. That's what we can tap into right now, tonight. Um Binaural beats, sacraments, okay? Psilocybin, magic mushrooms, any plant medicine, water, meditation, yoga, some good sex, or some, some good, I'm talking, some good loving. You know what I'm talking about? McLovin. You know, all of these things, tapping into a flow state, tapping into a place where your mind is your brain waves are in a place where you're in a you're in theta waves, you're in a theta mode, you're in heaven, you're tapped in, you're in a place that reality is basically melting away. You're combining with another energy and you're becoming one. That's a magical place. That's why it's recommended that when you get into that mind state, that you program your future, you program your subconsciousness, because certain parts of your brains is shut down and it goes to sleep and is suppressed, the default mode network and whatnot, when you're in your flow state. When you're in your flow state. And when you're in your flow state, that's when you're like, yo, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm the shit. You know what I'm talking about? The world is mine. I live in abundance. That's when you programming your subconscious. That's when you downloading all of that good shit. You know what I mean? That's when you gassing yourself up. Texaco. You know what I'm talking about? That platinum. You on the pump. You giving yourself that platinum. You know. You know. You at the gas pump with an American Express, nigga. You're like, fill her up. Give me the best. So it's inception. It's inception. You're planting the seed in your subconscious mind. And to be honest with you, if you a freaky nigga, you could plant it in your girl's mind too. Just whisper in her ear when y'all in the ecstasy states. Okay? You could download some shit. Don't be a weirdo though. Say some empowering shit. Say some empowering shit. You know. When I mean, nigga, the black man is God. You could become Pastor Wilson, you know what I'm talking about? And give her the Holy Ghost and then program her. I'm telling you, it's in an orgasmic state where the programming takes place. Go talk to Montauk Chia. Don't take my word for it. You know what I'm talking about? Don't take my word for it. I'm just the Scorpio over here who knows what he's talking about. But I'm just gonna, I'm just saying. No, not Pastor Kanye West, nigga. Pastor Wilson. You know what I'm talking about? Pastor Wilson trying out for the Beard Gang. Yeah, him. Hallelujah. Yeah, that guy. With an appetite for Christ. You know what I'm talking about? He make you hungry for Jesus. Yeah. That part. So, being in states of ecstasy is considered to be a magical state. Being in states of blissfulness, being in states of love, being in states of happiness and just gratitude, waking up, being very, very grateful for just today and everything that it has to bring. And no, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to wake up filthy rich. You don't have to wake up with all the sneakers in the world. You don't have to wake up with every single girl's name in your inbox. It doesn't have to happen. That's not something that you should be trying to measure yourself up to the imaginary reality of cyberspace, where people who are a little wiser than you, it doesn't take anything away from you. It just says that they're a little bit ahead of you. If we were still in public school, they would be getting 100 on a test and you would not. But what they've discovered is, on the internet, you could be anything that you want to be. So what these guys are doing is that they're tapping into the cheat code of cyberspace. It's like the Matrix. And it says that you could program yourself to be anything that you want to be, nigga. And here you go, in regular old world, stressed out, depressed, because you can't keep up with somebody's well-established illusion on Instagram, the way that their fucking angles and whatnot, and the way that they take pictures, and they might even Photoshop some shit. And here you go, measuring yourself. You live in Boise, Idaho. You know what I mean? You live in El Segundo, you know, and you're like, oh, they're having so much fun over there, and they're doing better things than I am, and all of it, and you're comparing yourself to Instagram. And that's not what's up. You know, that'll drive you insane. That'll definitely drive you insane. That'll drive you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. What you should be focusing on is the fact that technology is so advanced that you could communicate with hundreds of people in real time on some solutions and on some real shit. And you could witness greatness in real time. I was having this conversation earlier about watching this shit and witnessing it. It's two completely different things. We could chill and have NBA TV, my niggas, and watch LeBron play the game, right? You're watching the NBA. You know, some people got the NBA Pass, and they got Roku and Fire Stick, and all they do is watch niggas play all day. But then you have a selected group of Americans and people on this planet, especially at the soccer games and the football games, where they pay to play, nigga. They pay to witness this shit. It's a difference. When you watching this greatness, you have not invested in it. You're not investing, you're not risking it all. You're not into risk investment. I'm gonna risk paying $40 to witness this nigga lay this shit down. I'm gonna make sure that I see this nigga before I leave this planet. I'm gonna make sure I could say, yo, I was in the same building with Red Pill. I was in the same building with LeBron. I was in the same building with Michael Jordan. I paid $10,000 for floor seats so I could witness this nigga's greatness, not watch him. Witness the shit. I touched that nigga. His sweat was on my goddamn towel, and the towel's somewhere in the closet. It's in my safe. That type of shit. He signed something for me. I got a autograph card. You witnessing history. You not watching it. Niggas is on YouTube all day watching me. But there's a lot of people who come to witness my greatness. Those are the witnesses. You're coming to witness the greatness of the pills. You coming to witness the greatness of Mama Pill. You coming to witness the greatest of KT the Arch Degree. You coming to witness the greatest of all of the great ones. It's a difference. Don't watch me, witness me do this shit. Because we not here, when people come to Harlem and they witness what's going on, when people come to the lectures to Brooklyn, LIU, all the way up to St. Francis, we're talking about that's almost a 15-year run from LIU all the way to St. Francis and everything in between. National Black Theater, Alhambra Ballroom. You witnessing greatness, and everybody great ain't on the stage. But you witnessing greatness. You're witnessing history. When you pull up, you know that you're witnessing some shit that will be written about and spoken about and talked about 100, 50, 40, and 30 years from now. You know that you witness. When you stumbled on a whole bunch of shit on YouTube, you was like, yo, I'm watching some interesting shit. Yo, this is some different shit. Oh, these niggas is different. Oh, what's going on here? Niggas got face tats and they're smart. And then when you came and physically seen it, you went to a festival, you pulled up to a Umar lecture or whatever you got where you got introduced to it in the physical, it was a whole nother thing. You was like, I think I could do this shit. Because that's the same way that I felt when I witnessed the greatness. I was watching DVDs. Then I went to the lectures and I witnessed it. I was like, oh, no, I'm not leaving. I came to New York and I did not leave. I came on vacation in 2005. I left all of my belongings in Miami. That's a fact. Everything. A whole bunch of drip. The niggas will drown for these days. And I kept myself right in New York because I was like, I'm not leaving because I witnessed I was an eyewitness to some magic taking place. This was 2005. I tapped in and I never tap out. It's like when y'all watch people on Instagram and they go on tour, they be going to different countries. Like how Keys is he's in South Africa right now. We was in the UK and we were other places. It was just like that. Like I went somewhere to go somewhere and I never left. I've been here since. My son just turned 12. You know what I'm talking about? And I came back to New York because I was like, I want to have a child with his mother. My DNA was telling me it's time to recreate yourself. And she's the one. So this is all about these journeys that we're all on. Everybody's on their own journey. We could all sit down and speak for 100 years amongst each other about everybody's intricate story about how they came consciousness and what this has done for them. You dig? And how far they've come. As a matter of fact, I might be doing a video challenge. I might be doing a video challenge where we doing a 10-year Know the Ledge radio anniversary video challenge. And we want everybody, our listeners who listen to Know the Ledge radio, you could listen to it today for the first time. We want to hear what it meant to you. Two things. What did the show mean to you? And how did it change your life? We want video confessions. We want videos from people all on the internet. I don't care where you live. You know what I'm talking about? I don't care what planet you're from. I don't care what race or nationality you are. I don't care your age. If you have a brain, and your brain has neurons, and those neurons fire synapses, then we could build. Okay? You could get this work. If you have a brain, that's the requirement. If you have a brain. Oh, the video is lagging now? Okay. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But if you have a brain, then I'm talking to you. Because I cannot control the frequencies of my wave. I cannot control the frequencies of my voice. I cannot control the frequencies of this message. This message is traveling amongst the information highway. Right? It's on the information highway. So what am I? What is do I have the Wave app? Am I white people coming up ahead? Slow down. You know what I'm talking about? The information is touching different people for different reasons. But we know we know what it is though. You know what I'm talking about? And we know what it's not. And we know what it's not. Yeah, I remember seeing Erykah Badu in 03 when I was on I was on the gates of consciousness. I was on the gates. I 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And she helped pull me over. You know? I was like, if there's women like her in the building, then we might be on to something. You know what I'm talking about? Like, nigga, Houston, we might have a problem. You know? If they moving like this, she made me tear up. She was performing and I cried. I always tell the story. She was performing in Brooklyn at the Black August in 03 with Duo Live and a few other of my good brothers who was doing it real big, who really was some of the beginning. These are archetypes of which I know today as the street consciousness. What's my brother's name? Was it A-Live? They was rolling with Dead President. What was the name of that group? It was 2 of them. So I remember it was Dead Prez. They was remember Revolutionary but Gangster. This was like 02. Talib and Mos Def were not really that street considered. You know, they wasn't really street dudes like that. They were intellects, and they were really into the craft, and they were really into consciousness, right? They were really into their consciousness and stuff like that. But nah, not Rage Against the Machine. I'm talking about this is a black revolutionary hip hop group from the streets. They was rolling with they was rolling with Dead Prez when they were living in Brooklyn. You know? But those were some of the first brothers who I was like, oh shit, these niggas is conscious and they street. That's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like Dead Prez was in Brooklyn really going, they was in the trenches. I'm not saying that they were doing trenches type of things, but they was in the Lions Den with the Lions, not Planet Asia. Shout out to Planet Asia. They was in the Lions Den with the Lions, and this is before the gentrification of Brooklyn. And then, because that was not the archetype of consciousness, you were not on those, you was not mixing street shit with conscious back in those days. That was a sin. That was not even heard of like that. That wasn't accepted. So I remember they were breaking the mold. You know, they were making it a lot more commercially acceptable. And then they did the song with Jay-Z. And then Kanye started warming up. Right? Then Alikes. There you go. The group was Alikes. Thank you, whoever wrote that. Alikes was the group that was rolling with Dead Prez in Brooklyn. And Supernova Slum was also coming through as well. I remember they was linking up and everything. You know, it was a network back then. I really hope that there's some screenwriters and some real ill script writers who, you know, who could start telling these stories. These are epic stories. Like, this is history. These are parts of history. It's a lot of stories out there that need to be told, bro. I be on Netflix kind of bored and shit, you know? There's some stories that need to be told. So I want to get into this information about what is called Psy Wars, psychological warfare. Because during this retrograde that we're in right now, it's important to pay attention to misinformation, or to pay attention to the fact that psychological warfare is a tool. Warfare is warfare. Like, I need y'all to understand what we're up against. Like, warfare is a form of, propaganda is a form of warfare. And I'm going to explain to you how propaganda and how it became an institution. And, oh, of course, music is psychological. Hell to the motherfucker. It's one of the most, it's a tool. It's one of the most focused upon tools in their toolbox that they are utilizing in order to manipulate frequencies, in order to manipulate collective minds. You understand? Okay. So let's go to the beginning of psychological warfare, okay? I want everybody to get a book called The Science of World Domination, all right? And the author is Denis Bonnell. He's a French journalist. It's Bonneau. Bonneau. That's the last name. The first name is Denis, right? And the book is called The Science of World Domination. And he talks about the development of the United States post World War II Global Psychological Warfare Strategy. Global, right? Around post World War II, after the defeat of the Nazis. Post World War II, global psychological warfare strategy. He starts by describing the Truman Doctrine of containment of the former Soviet Union that was based on a so called long telegram sent to the State Department in 1946 by an advisor in the U.S. Embassy in Moscow and key Council on Foreign Relations scholar George S. Kennan. Shortly afterwards, Kennan was called back to the U.S. to brief his superiors and his recommendations were finally published in July 1947 issue of Foreign Affairs, the official journal of the CFR, which is the Council of Foreign Relations, as the sources of Soviet conduct. That was the name of the article, the sources of Soviet conduct. This became known as the X article because that's how Kennan signed it, and there was still heated debate as to whether it should become U.S. foreign policy. It did. With his highly influential article, Kennan gave birth to the U.S. policy of containment of the Soviet Union, which consisted in blocking the expansion of communism through the control of national emancipationist movements that could lead to greater power to pro-socialist or nationalist leaders. Thus began the Cold War. This is how the Cold War begins. This is this is what we were taught in school. They used to teach us about the Cold War, but I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I'm like, when is war cold? Like, what's going on? Like, are they fighting in the Winter Olympics? Like, what are they doing? So, the Cold War and the U.S. government believed what would give the United States a historic opportunity to assume leadership over what they would eventually describe the free world. With time, as the global power elite became more deeply embedded inside the U.S. and British public and private power sectors, that leadership ended up encompassing practically the whole planet. As part of that global strategy, 1947 saw the Truman administration sanction the National Security Act, which among things created the Central Intelligence Agency, tasked with designing, planning, and executing. Now listen to this, family. This is the definition of what the CIA is. The CIA was created in 1947 as a result of the National Security Act, and they are given the task of designing, planning, and executing propaganda, economic war, direct preventative action, sabotage, anti-sabotage, destruction, subversion against hostile states, assistance to clandestine liberation movements, guerrilla, murders, assistance to indigenous groups opposed to the enemy countries of the free world. That's the description of the CIA. What is psychological warfare? Bonau describes psychological warfare, short PSY-war, as a number of actions ranging from radio propaganda to torture that require comprehensive information on targeted populations. In a document written in 1948, American ground forces defined psychological warfare as follows. It is based on moral and physical means different from those upon which orthodox military techniques are based on. Its purpose is A. to destroy the will and the fighting spirit of the enemy and avoids its allies' support. B. to encourage our troops and our allies' will of being victorious. Let me go right back to it because I'm giving you the blueprint of what they say is their psychological warfare. And think about what African American, black people, Negroes, coloreds, ADOSs, whatever we want to identify. Think about what we've been going through, not just for 400 years, but most importantly, since the calendar year of 2012. All right. Psychological warfare, the purpose of it is to destroy the will. Destroy the will and the fighting spirit of the enemy and avoid its allies' support. Avoid its allies' support, right? And B, to encourage our troops and our allies' will of being victorious. Psy War uses every possible weapon and tool to influence and impact the will of the enemy. Such weapons are labeled psychological because of their effect and not because of their own nature. This is the reason why open propaganda, which is white propaganda, secret propaganda, which is black propaganda, or gray propaganda, which is subversion, sabotage, murders, special operations, guerrilla, espionage, political, economic, and racial and ethnic pressures are all considered useful psy war weapons. These are all weapons in the toolbox of what we know as psy war. To implement such programs, the intelligence services recruited specialists on behavioral sciences capable of inventing the simple, clear, and repetitive white propaganda and black propaganda aimed at provoking disorder, confusion, and terror within the enemy forces. Right? So articles like the New York Times, a known tool of propaganda. They propagandize stories going all the way back into the 1800s. It was the New York Times that used to put out lynching stories talking about a black man was lynched today. Hooray. They would champion it on. This is the New York Times. They are known propagandizers. So what would they do? They would come out with an article to sow division between different factions inside of the conscious or the black community. Let me continue. We thus begin to fathom that the so-called Arab Spring of today did not just suddenly and spontaneously explode in 2011, but was rather hatched from an egg laid decades ago and brooded by the secret intelligence agencies. White propaganda. This began in the 40s and the 50s with Project Troy. Project Troy, like Troy, that mobilized top scholars to identify available means of transmitting the truth, i.e., U.S. propaganda behind the Iron Curtain through powerful radio transmitters like the Voice of America, the broadcasting network created by the International Information Service, another psy-war institution created under the Truman administration. Voice of America was used to promote U.S. values of so-called democracy, the American way of life, freedom, and corporate capitalism. A key leader of Project Troy was James Webb, advisor to Secretary of State Dean Acheson and psychological warfare operative who recommended university experts and government to work closer. They soon realized, however, that Voice of America was not enough to penetrate the Iron Curtain, and supported by the U.S. Navy and the CIA, they suggested other channels to implement white propaganda, university exchanges, publications of books, information through the mail, professional journals, commerce, and industrial publications. Truman also created the Psychological Strategy Board, encouraging studies of Soviet society through a program of recruiting dissidents called Project Cenis, Center for International Studies at MIT, directed by CFR operative Max Millikan. This worked so well that in 1950 the U.S. Air Force commissioned and funded similar research on the Korean population. The 1906 Project Camelot was created to define process models leading to national revolutions in third world countries to facilitate counterinsurgents operations. Camelot is a good example of the strengthening ties between behavioral scholars and a U.S. intelligence committee, which consists of, i.e., intel services, universities, major corporations, think tanks, and the military. So this is their intelligence community. Intel services, universities, major corporations. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, um, Fox, all of these major multinational, these are part of the Intel community, think tanks, Heritage Foundation, all of these think tanks that they have, and their military arm, the military wing. Project Camelot facilitated interventions in Yemen, Cuba, and the Congo and helped foresee and prevent the risk of revolution. So they have these programs that they run that come out with all of these different scenarios that help armies and help governments crush revolutions based off of big data, based off of the fact that they're running variables and whatnot, and they're already checkmating people before they move off of the board, because this is chess and this is not checkers, and they're playing the game 5 moves ahead. Okay? Psychological warfare strategy development also counted on key universities dealing in communication services to develop the mass communication paradigm financed by the U.S. military, the CIA, and the State Department. This led to effective propaganda used to penetrate the Iron Curtain through different means, including leaflets and broadcasting. The discipline's field of study was wide. Persuasion techniques, opinion polls, interviews, military and political mobilizations, ideological dissemination. So, to make a long story short, they're cutting their teeth with Russia during the Cold War. They're cutting their teeth on espionage, on all of these things, psychological warfare, on penetrating what was known as the Iron Curtain. By penetrating the Iron Curtain, that gives them the skill set and that gives them the wherewithal to penetrate, you know what I mean, the Chitlin circuit, or to penetrate the curtains that we had up. You know what I mean? Nana's curtains. From the very beginning, torture was considered a research field in social sciences. Torture is considered a research field in social sciences. During the Korean War, the BSSR, Main Black Propaganda Research Center, was charged with carrying out studies for the Army to identify Eastern Europe populations' vulnerability targets and factors, while defining different aspects of psychological warfare. BSSR reported on the effects of traditional interrogation techniques, electric shocks, blows, drugs, all funded in part by the CIA, especially on the populations of Vietnam and Africa, geared at improving torture effectiveness. The paradigm of mass communication was inserted in a broader intellectual plan consisting in the division of the world map based on the American strategist logic. The patriarch of this discipline, Wilbur Schramm, as did Leo Strauss, offered a perspective of this reductionist dimension of communication sciences based on the good guys, bad guys antagonism, where communism symbolized evil and America symbolized good. This was shared by the majority of the intellectuals and scientists supporting the U.S. government in its fight against Soviet expansionism, where neutrality was considered treason. Couldn't play the middle. In 2001, the Bush administration reactivated these Cold War mechanisms not to fight the Soviet Union, but to impose a new world order. Since 11th of September 2001, the excuse for this reactivation is the war on terror. Once again, the intelligence community turned to universities. The CIA's Director of Scientific Research, John Phillips, took control of the Rochester Institute of Technology. Michael Kroll, Deputy Director of the CIA's Joint Economic Association in the computer sector, was appointed Dean of the University of Arizona. And Robert Gates, former CIA Director under Bush Sr., before becoming Bush Obama's Pentagon Chief, was President of Texas A&M University. Okay? So these people is working, you know, these people are working and they've been working, and we need to be working as well and not jerking, you know. We don't need to be jerk chickens. You know what I'm talking about? We need to be working. We have work to do. We have beautiful work to do, powerful work to do. Yeah, they've been working. And we've been working and we gonna work, and let them keep working. That's their job. That's what they get paid for. They got a budget. They got a budget. And we are the chaos magicians. So continue to cook up and continue to do what you do so well. You know what I mean? Family that's out there doing what they do, you know, shaking the shaking the matrix, shaking the pillars of the matrix, making noise in Zion like you Zion with the pelicans. 6 feet tall skeleton. Not, let me stop. But yeah, that's what it is. So Thursday, like I said, on my birthday, so we get 11:11 tonight. I wish we could do the 11:11 meditation, but I'm not gonna be here for that time. I'm gonna be tapping out because I have a lot of spiritual work to do tonight. I might even get in the tub and whatnot. But you know, I want to say thank everybody for everything that y'all have contributed towards this journey, towards this movement, towards this channel, towards this, you know, towards Third Eye Thursdays, Melanin Monday. It's a beautiful thing, you know. Me and Blue is going to be celebrating our 44th on Thursday. That's very special to us. That's going to be a monumental um, landmark for us. That's going to be a cycle where magical things, powerful things, really going to begin to take place. So I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, we're gonna let the family know, especially before Thursday on my Instagram page, all of the plans that we have this whole weekend. We have a whole weekend planned out in New York City. Even though it's last minute, everybody that shows up supposed to have been there. So we ain't even, you know, it's gonna be what it's supposed to be. But we're gonna do a pop-up shop, we're gonna do a day party, and we're doing a nighttime party. We're gonna be performing music, and we're gonna be listening to our own music, and we're gonna be listening to every single Scorpion who's an artist. I'm not biased. You know what I'm talking about? Some Future, some Drake, some P. Diddy, nigga. All about the Benjamins. You know what I'm talking about? I Need a Girl, part 1 and 2, nigga. You know what I'm saying? All Scorpions, Fabulous, A.A. Rashid, Batman Mafia, you know. A Scorpion King playlist. You know what I'm saying? Scorpion season playlist. E Feezy, E40, born on my birthday. Yeah, nigga, Boozy, Badass, Wipe Me Down, born on my birthday, November the 14th. Yeah, Wipe Me Down. We gonna have Kambada, because he's associated. We got songs with him. Yeah, we might throw some Drake on. You know, he got a few tings. You know what I'm saying? We might. I think what's Tuscany Leather and some other shit. I could play some Drake spits when he's spitting bars. I like that. I think it's 4 a.m. in Calabasas. One of them things he goes in. 6 a.m. in Toronto, nigga. 11:11 in Maui. I don't know. He got a lot of songs. But that's our intentions. That what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a pop-up shop, all of our products. KT, we're gonna celebrate all Scorpions' birthdays the day of our party. The night party. And even the day party is gonna be because we gotta teach. We gotta show y'all what's coming up in 2020. We gotta launch some things. We gotta it's a lot of shit that we gotta do. You dig what I'm saying? I'm actually gonna, I'm gonna be in the studio when the clock strikes 12. Recording for my Scorpion King album, tapping into that portal. Tapping into that portal. It's all about the ritual at the end of the day, and the intention and the will. That's where the magic is. I promise you. You got to treat this shit like the mythos. The Ascension Conference was lit. Oh, it definitely was. You're right about that. I watched that. I watched the replay on Black Magic a few times. Everybody brought their A game. That shit was very lit. Information wise, it was a chock full of information. It was a natural progression as the information built up. Boom, 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 boom. And then you was out of here. So yeah. But yeah, man. You want to get a bush leaf from KT? Yeah, you got to hit him up. KT in New York right now. Like I said, we're gonna have a pop-up. It's gonna be me, blue, and red. I mean, red, blue, and KT. We're gonna have a pop-up with all of our products, with all of our services. Health products, Gold Water, Kings County. We'll even have information on jump drives. We'll have the music, Scorpion King. We'll have the twin album. All of these things, Naman. All of these things, Naman. We'll have everything for the fandom. We might even bring out our artwork. This be the first time that we bring the artwork out. But the 44th world, that's the Basquiat era right there. That's when we get on our art shit and go really weird on you niggas and disappear. You know what I'm talking about? And become breathabilitarians. But with that being said, I'll see y'all on Thursday. My Cash App is $PhilMoreland. I need to fill up more land. And let me just give you we're going to be doing some crowdfunding as well, launching, because there are definitely projects that need to be finished in hyper speed, because we're in hyperspace right now as we tap into what is known as cyberspace. We're in cyberspace, so we're in hyperspace. So we are in the proverbial quickening. So it's no more, let's wait to Christmas Eve and see what Santa brings us. We have to hatch our presence. We gotta, our presence is a presence. So the gift of the now is when we have to be able to raise the funds and get the resources and do the building that has to be built. But I'm very fair and I'm very transparent and I'm a visionary. So I don't have a problem visually laying it out for you, step by step, the way it's supposed to be, pitching it like Shark Tank. You know what I'm talking about? Letting the family know what's coming up. So look forward to the word on what's coming up. We have another live stream coming up for the end of the month, November. There's a live stream that's going to be taking place on Zoom. So look out for that. That's going to be chock loaded with information. The information from the Ascension 2020 conference, along with about 200 other slides. I'm going to fucking, I'm on my weird science shit, bro. I'm really on my Urkel shit right now, so talk black to me. But love and light to the family. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Go to Black Magic 363 and go tap into Dame Dash and Billy Carson. Nigga, look, Dame Dash is on Black Magic 363. Nigga, what a time to be alive. This is some different shit. You know what I'm talking about? Dame Dash is, remember, we have to look at it from a place where it's not as critical, because I could be a critic, but if someone is responsible for writing certain codes, by having them in on your platform, rewriting it to a different code that has an effect. He is the if Jay-Z is the big homie, if Jay-Z is the top rapper, if Jay-Z's the mind that's controlling this whole shit, because you got to be able to identify, because on he showed up on a lot of top 20 lists. Who do you think was this? Who was Morpheus in that situation? Who was Coach Carter in that situation? Who was steering? There's talent and then there's management. It's never the talent all the time. It's usually the management. So he's considered the architect of the reality that we find ourselves in right now. This paid in full reality, this money cash holes. Puffy and all of them play a part, but Dame is a major player. So to be on the cusp of 2020 and Dame is pushing Billy fucking Carson, bro, who's talking about the fractal universe and the and the Anunnaki and whatnot. All I'm saying is it's poetic justice. It's showing you how the ancestors have a very, very weird sense of humor. But this is something that is, you know, a sign of our times. We're living in some interesting times. You know, squeeze the enthusiasm out of these situations before you start pouring acid and, you know, and drinking the sourness of it. You know what I mean? We live in a mental universe. You have to be able to, you have to mentally conceive what you want to bring to come about. If you just gonna speak negative, oh, that nigga's an agent. He ain't doing nothing for nobody. He just got white girls and oh, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like you're forfeiting the potentiality of some shit really going good for us. You know. But anyway, so Harriet Tubman movie, Basura. Just like Kanye's album, niggas is 0 for 2. Talk black to me. You know what I mean? Come back to the motherfucking to the table with some new shit. You know what I'm talking about? This is post Black Panther, nigga. You know what I mean? They 0 for 2. All right, peace.